What is happening, everyone? We are back. It is Monday. It is birthday, sort of birthday. I mean, to me, I consider yesterday the birthday. Um, However, I don't know. That's just when I think of the 12th. I think of the 12th is the birthday, and it went live. Yeah. If I'm correct, it did go live yesterday around 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, somewhere through there. Because if you've been following me on Twitter, you saw that I posted the clip of the amazing time I was live with a few other people, and we got to experience it. I was live for the V3 launch. I think me and I feel like I was live for the V4, or something happened around V4. Maybe not V4. I think me and Axis were live for V3 or something, and then of course for the launch. So, anyways, happy birthday, PulseChain. We're coming up on the next day, turning over as well. A lot of people say the 13th because UTC time as well, but I don't know. I still feel like 12th. Wherever you were when it happened, you were excited. That's kind of the date that sticks in your mind. So should be a great stream. Got Access here. Talk about some bullish and some, I don't know. Is there some bearish stuff going on as well? We'll see. It'll be a fun stream. Action-packed 1 hour stream coming your way right now. Get to chat in just a minute. Welcome back to the show, Access Live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I got to
back.
Somebody spread the word that we're going to be live here because we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting topics today that we haven't brought up in a couple months, actually. Just kind of doing a retrospective on the bridge and kind of the activity that the SAC wallets had exhibited over the past few months since January, and this could be interesting. So get out there and spread the message. I'm trying to get a tweet out right now.
Are you sure about that? Is that a confirmation of a banger? Is that what you're saying?
A confirmation of a banger? Yeah, for sure.
Banger,
100%.
Banger of a stream, that kind of thing.
100%.
Confirmation. This is a TA guy. When he says confirmation,
confirmed.
He means it too.
We got the breakout, we got the retest, and now we're confirming. Resumption off those levels, for sure.
Wow. Okay.
People probably what do you even mean?
I mean, probably half the stuff you say, people are like, yeah, I'm just going to listen because it sounds really good, and maybe I'll re-listen later. But yeah, I think
there's a lot of terminology. You know what? Investopedia is your friend. If you don't know that stuff, Investopedia, find a couple people on YouTube you like to listen to. They'll give you some nuggets, and I try to, kind of speak to every level of audience. But I know that sometimes I go a little quick. But there's so much to cover, so I'm limited for time. I got a hard stop in a little bit before 5:30 here Eastern, so got about 50 minutes. So.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, your stop's before my stop, so I'm glad we talked about that. Okay. I was going to say a solid hour. You're going to get action-packed 50 minutes, everyone. That's what we got.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the greatest 50 minutes of your day.
I mean, that's a given. That's not even surprising. Say something surprising, man. Like, I think you say the greatest 50 minutes of
Well, here's something surprising. The P copies are starting to pop off like crazy. P Gnosis went up like, I don't even know how much it's up. It went up 35x in the last 120 days, and just in the last it's up 6.5x in the last 12 hours. 12 days. Sorry, got a little ahead of myself. 12 days, 6x, not too shabby. Now there's not a lot of liquidity there, but to that point, something that people might not know or might be surprising is low liquidity is a stage of a market when it's growing out from 0 to 1. Low liquidity is a means to an end. If there's a pair with $10,000 in it, and there's only like 1 million coins, and your first $5,000 buy slips the price, 50%, but you got half the supply with one market buy. You just took half the market. You just took half the supply off the market, and you only slipped the price 50%. You do it again. Well, now you've 4x the price. Now you would have you would have 4x the price. You would have 3x the price, and you would have potentially have another 33% of what was remaining. And so, like most people, won't understand this outright because it's not clear. But the good analysts, the good market makers are always looking into this total supply count, tokenomics. Is there inflation? Yes or no? And so like with these P copies, a lot of them are just like kind of limited in amount, very low market cap, and a lot of the supply can be absorbed, and that's what creates these big ranges. Happy to talk more about that as we go. Probably easier with a visual.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of, there's a few different directions we can go in. I'm thinking, I mean, you mentioned the SAC stuff and stuff too. since it's
maybe we
birthday,
should start.
yeah.
By the way, it was V3 testnet launch that we were live together with, I think, Sloth.
With Sloth, that's what it was. I was like, I think V4 I wasn't streaming, but I was like, I didn't miss the V4, and then I got the launch, so it worked out. Visual. Let's talk about
the bridge has been stable for a couple days, a couple weeks. It's been around 108, 110 million dollars bridged in. The guys that are bridging this capital in are getting anxious. And not all of them, obviously, because this has basically been our base for a long time. The biggest most interesting thing here was that there was a huge influx of HEX because BankX guys bridged in 700 million HEX, and that's sitting for sale between 0.7 cents and 1.4 cents on 9mm, single-sided. And other than that, we've just kind of bottomed out, it appears. On the DAI, whoa, heavy. We just started. We kind of bottomed out here recently, and the last time we bottomed out, it was a good thing. I would expect that if you're going to get a big move because of the SAC wallets, that'll be kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Broadcasted ahead of time. Telegraphed, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Like, this is going to get telegraphed but I mean, it's good to have a steady incline here. We got a nice positive slope on the bridged in DAI. Well, why is that important? Well, because you don't want to see that your backing value is just leaking forever. But I mean, this has been a pretty steady decline. I think what this is it's pretty obvious. It's just people that sacked, that want off the ship. They want to get off the ride. They want to get off the train because they've been waiting for 2 years and they are not seeing immediate results. And there's other stuff too. Like, for example, if somebody gets compromised, their wallet gets compromised, and that those funds leave the chain and they get bridged off, or if somebody creates a new project and it moons, whether it's good or bad, and then they just extract all that value and then they sell it and bridge it back across. That happens too. But once a lot of that behavior and activity settles down a little bit, you get rid of a lot of the leaky holes. And so actually, we're setting up for like a nice little, that's our trend line now in terms of bridged in stablecoins in DAI form. And so then we were talking in the green room, Max and I were talking about how the SAC wallet, or not the SAC wallet, how the admins of PulseChain changed the dynamic of the bridge coming in and going out, so that there was no fee to come into PulseChain, but there was a fee to leave PulseChain. And that was kind of a way of saying, hey guys, you can come through the door, but there's a tax to leave. And that might have, crypto doesn't really like being told what to do, so maybe that rubbed people the wrong way as well. And maybe that's a good thing, or maybe that's a bad thing. I think in the end, it's just going to get players that don't want to participate in this type of an environment gone, and all that's left will be the believers that want to be here and want to stay on the chain. But anyways, that ended, and the whole one-way tax thing was ended, and now it's free to go both directions again. Which so yeah, with these, we can expect that as we go into the future. There's always going to be adjustments that are going to be made. And so it does kind of create for like a environment where, as a big investor, you're very cautious and looking for those types of signals to perhaps foreshadow what's to come in terms of price action.
Yeah, I actually didn't know the fee was removed recently. Was that an update to the bridge? I didn't catch that.
I didn't verify it for myself, but I'm pretty sure if we do that, or if someone can verify that in the chat, that it was removed a while ago now, like weeks and weeks ago. Pretty sure.
Because there was a bridge update, but I didn't. Let's see, bridge fee, bridge Ethereum. Okay.
Is it removed?
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe I need to. 1 sec. Connecting, and I'll switch to Ethereum and see. So PulseChain. No, it's still so from PulseChain.
It is still up.
Okay. Ethereum 0.3%. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes me feel a little better. Then that way we're not going back on what we want is the end goal.
Because I keep up to date with the reason I said this. Like where I have Go Real DeFi, I'll know when I click verify hash, it gives me all the versions and stuff. And usually if they update the fee or otherwise, there'll be like a new version. So I was like, oh, maybe I missed that version, or maybe it wasn't removed yet. But that being said, so if it's still there, do you think and this is kind of what we're talking about too, do you think that the sentiment is kind of like, okay, what you talked about, people wanting to leave, not having faith, it's going to go up and stuff like that. Even after the green candles we had, we were up for a while. Was it just one of those, okay, we just didn't keep going up? So everyone's like, yeah, I don't want to keep money in here and have to pay the tax or pay the fee to leave and stuff. Would it be different if we just continued up after those green candles?
I almost think it was when we were up there, it looked pretty good. But yeah, I mean that the final candle that pushed PulseX up, kind of like the way that got sold down, it was clear that there's people that wanted to exit. And actually, everyone was so bullish then, right? It's funny how the emotions change so much. But I'm bullish for the right reasons down here, and versus it being like emotionally charged at the top of a range. But yeah, no, I think I don't think we were going to go up. Looking back retrospectively, I don't think we were going to go up from those levels after that massive wick. Maybe I'll just you want to throw that back up? Sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, that was like a massive volume candle. It was $44 million was traded here, and it tried. You see this kind of chart pattern a lot, where it like makes a big wick to the upside and then forms this kind of like sort of like a bear rising wedge type thing, and then that's a clear indicator of a top. The same thing happened on big payday for HEX, where you get this big pump like a hockey stick, and then it creates this bear pennant or like a rising wedge, and then it just goes down like 80%. We're not necessarily going to go down 80% here. I think we're down 70%, which is like really good. That's like a healthy amount to be down in crypto. If you get support between 70 and 80%, that's super, super bullish actually. And so like this is coming into tap these levels. I know I didn't really directly answer your question, but the price action to me seems like it's good, and that it's perking up. And the reason why I say that is because you're in this like pennant structure, which is a neutral structure. It's not necessarily, it's only bearish insofar as typically it'll go with the trend. So then the next logical level down is like the equal amount of distance from the previous breakdown, and then you just push that out, and then that would have us at like 4 zeros and a 4 or 5, which would test these lows. And that's the probabilities that it would do that. However, these are neutral patterns by nature, and so then it can actually go back the other way. And if there was a place to do it, it would be right here at these key support levels. It was also resistance flip to support here. So when I talk about like in the beginning of the stream, when I was talking about flipping resistance as support, or like a breakout, a retest, and a resumption, that's what I mean. Is like you broke out of a key resistance line, then you came back to test this level as support, and then you resumed off that level. And you'll see that all over crypto charts, or you'll see that over charts where they break out, they retest the level, and then they go from there after an accumulation has happened. And so actually, I think this was a lot of bullish accumulation up in here. It just it wasn't sustained. So then once this happened, that was pretty bad. Like this breakdown here was pretty rough, which I think it was Richard kind of antagonized people by saying like, hey, I thought you wanted to sell, and people obviously clearly did want to sell. So this is not out of the norm. HEX actually went down minus like 79% before it rallied off its first major low. So this is like par for the course for RH coin coming out of the bottom of a bear. Remember that this is still bull market money. So Pulse really hasn't had an official bear. Pulse is transporting HEX bull market energy into this bull market through Pulse and PulseX. But part of the reason why I'm seeing strength in this chart, beyond this just being a potential pennant reversal, is PulseX gaining on Pulse. So that means that a lot of the selling in the PulseX side of things is minimal compared to what it used to be. And down here, for example, and that these ratios are starting to hold better and grind to the upside. So that's all bullish and optimistic. And then ink, it's doing the same thing it did before. In the pulse ratio, it's range bound, just like it was ping ponging around inside of here. It's doing the same thing, but at a bigger scale here, ping ponging around, probably getting ready to do something like this, because this is going to happen when pulse breaks this pennant. So when pulse breaks out, retests, and resumes, and then somebody dumps it and it gets crapped on, and then it does like a weird pattern, and then it does a higher low, and then it goes because, you know, hexagons don't like nice things. This is what will happen, is something where you start to break out, make new local highs, make new local lows, and then grind up from there. And inside of that process, you're going to see economic energy get stored in PulseX. You're going to see it get stored in ink. And so these two coins are going to go up in their ratio against Pulse. The only one that's actually not performing that well, you can see here, this isn't to my prior statement. This is Pulse. This is ink versus PulseX. You can see it was a different pattern. It was a falling wedge that broke out, and now it's consolidating in a little triangle. This is going to break out, create another pattern, break out, create another pattern, break out. It'll just keep doing that again because ink is going to be a little bit more performative than PulseX no matter what, because there's a lower market cap and nobody sacrificed for it. It's more desired. It's the golden goose right now. Everyone wants it. But ink HEX is what's really interesting to me right now. I know you're a HEX fan, RHMax, and this ink HEX chart, look at how beat up ink looks when you're measuring it in HEX terms. I mean, it went down 50%. So you lost 50% of your HEX value sitting in ink during this period, during this, you know, you could say shoulder, head, and shoulders reversal pattern to the downside, break of the neckline, you double the move down, bam, and that's where we're trying to find support. So it could find support here, but if HEX gets a second wind here and breaks this 618, sorry if I'm moving really fast, but we're short for time. So, but this is the HEX measured in pulse. If it breaks this 618 level, probably within the next 3 to 6 days, then it's spend the next 3 days flipping that as support, and then the next 3 days it'll actually resume off that level. You started a new trend, and this could go all the way up to the 382, which would make sense. You had such a nice move, consolidate below the 618, and then boom, make another nice move. That would mean that this ink ratio is going to fall and break these key supports. And, you know, it would have been better off getting into HEX with some of your ink bag. So, you know, I was one of those guys that took that trade there with some of my ink and put it in there. Now, I'm not bearish on ink. I hold a lot of ink. I love ink, and I don't think it's done yet. And I think, you know, you could 2 to 3x off the $10 level easy at some point here. And so, but I think thinking ahead now and balancing your ink and HEX, because they're the two ends of a seesaw of yield on PulseChain, the stable ones, that's RH related. You're going to really want to think about capitalizing on these pumps. So like if ink goes up here to test and it looks like it's starting to lose steam, you may want to flip some into HEX. Remember, this is the ink HEX ratio, guys, not the dollar price, because the dollar price won't tell you anything. Because like in dollar terms, in Pulse and PulseX terms, ink is still winning. Ink is winning against those two coins. So it's just HEX that's kind of competing with it right now. What are your thoughts on some of that stuff?
Yeah, I was just thinking that sitting in the yield farms, you know, with your RH coins, I mean, that's kind of like right now, if you're not, I don't know, like when people talk about buying ink, what is your response when you think about buying ink versus sitting in the farms and earning it? Always, you know, with HEX, you're earning more HEX. With the farms, though, you're sitting with Pulse or PulseX or with the ink compounding. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, why would you ever buy ink? Only earn it and sell it type of thing. But accumulating it too when you think accumulation,
you should be buying
ink,
it.
Is it buying, or is it just like, you know, putting
well,
it?
I mean, you should be earning it, buying it, like any way you can get more ink, because it's still only 100 million market cap, whereas the other ones are a lot more expensive. I mean, PulseX is 5x more expensive on the market cap. HEX is 8x more expensive, and you know, Pulse is basically 10x as expensive on the market cap, which is telling you it's foreshadowing overhead sell pressure. So these have limitations on the speed and the rate of pump, whereas Ink does not. Ink does not have the same baggage that the other ones have for different reasons. That's why when these do get moving, this one moves the hardest because it's got less baggage, and it pays you to hold it and lock it in the farm. So, yeah, I mean, what does reality look like? Does it is Ink, 8x underpriced? Should Ink be 800 million market cap? I don't know if that's the case, or that HEX should be like 1.6 to 2.4 billion market cap and Ink should be at like 500 million. Like, that's, to me, seems like appropriate. Look at the shark position down here is 100 grand. A shark position on HEX is 800 grand. Dolphin, it's a big difference in terms of like earning potential. I mean, this thing's paying 40 to 50% APRs, to stick it in the farms. And this thing's just not paying anywhere near, in dollar terms, and on a short basis, what this one's paying. And it's still, the market is still offsides on Ink, and most people don't have enough of it. So you should be accumulating Ink as like a way to make faster gains and deploy those into some of these other things. But you can farm it too. Like, if you're limited, this is the tough part, is like, I don't know on a specific case, like you may be in a position where you can't really, you bring so much fresh capital into the market and you have to use what you have in the market. And if that's you and you don't have enough PulseX or PulseX, then it basically forces you to make a decision. Am I going to split? Like, if I have all my bag in Pulse, so I have to almost make a decision. Am I going to split that in half and with Ink and put that in the Ink farms, or am I going to split it with HEX and then make a ladder that goes out past 10 years or 5 years and wait and just win harder later? That's kind of the decision point that we're at for a lot of this. These prices, you should be selling your wife, your kids, your dog, your car, just doing whatever you can do. Cook street food for people.
You going full Michael Saylor
start
right
an
now?
online
Cybernetics Hornet's Nest.
If you got a family business that you just can't bear to sell, and you gotta
borrow money against it and then buy more Bitcoin. Like, that's the thing. It was just like,
it's like one of those things where it's like, if you're not levering up as hard as possible, what are you doing with your life, type of thing.
Not financial advice, just remind everyone out there. There's a quote from Michael Saylor. However, we can see Access Live is very bullish on this ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't waste my time with other ecosystems, because this is a magical place, and there's, the chart looks down, but my group, we're winning. Like, we're winning the game of accumulating more units, and that's the game right now. And the best part is you can even accumulate more units without hitting the red button. That's the best part. Most people don't really get that, but most people think like, oh, that guy, sells or dumps on my head, or there's pump and dump groups and stuff like that. But that's not the strategy. The strategy in this ecosystem is LP. Like, LP is the godhead of gains on PulseChain. Like, you have a perfect setup. It's a modern age gold rush with the LP and the dexes, and if it down does not mean out, because there's all these coins are floating, and you can be accumulating more units while they're floating inside of a ratio, and you're not even exiting the ecosystem. You're just getting more units when it's opportunistic. So, for example, you on this side, here's an easy play. Like, when you saw this breakdown coming, where it was coming into the support line and it was a potential breakdown. I mean, if you flipped Ink for HEX here, because you saw on April 17th that HEX was about to break out of this trend. I mean, this was so obvious. I mean, it's obvious for me anyway. It's just pattern recognition. On the 17th right here, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th is when this blew up. So you had like a day to make the move right at the edge of this falling wedge. And this is based on 2 touch points. This one, and then this one, where it was touching it. And then at that same point in that same day, on this Ink HEX ratio, it was right there that this broke down, obviously, because it's the same. This is showing you the ratio of Ink and HEX together. So you can see these things coming before they come. and you can make these ratio trades. You could have set a single-sided position where you put some ink in HEX, you put some ink in the ink HEX pool on 9mm or like 9-inch V3 or something, and you let the price do what it's going to do, and then you wake up the next morning and you're filled on your position, and you just got, you know, the other side of the trade. You didn't have to hit the sell button. So I mean, that's one example of a strat you could pull off.
Do you think we'll get to a point where accumulation is primarily through LP and it's not this, you know, basically the red candles in the chart mostly disappear?
I can totally, you know, just talk over you this whole segment because yes, I'm so excited by this because yes, I think that this class of people that's here now, that's getting ahead and that's dominating the network and accumulating all the units. Yeah, they're going to be the ones that's going to be playing this game at like a higher level, while the next group of people comes in behind them, and they're thinking about buys and sells and candle colors. You know, they're going to be at level 1, while all y'all are going to be at like level 5 or level 8.
It's pretty amazing, like the power of in DeFi. I mean, this is a thing unique to DeFi. You don't need to be like some market maker that has millions of dollars on exchange somewhere. You can literally set up positions again, figure out how to do it, how to not screw yourself, and understand a permanent loss, all that stuff too. But the ability to accumulate or just sell, again, either you want to buy or you want to sell without hitting the button that's buy and sell, without making a trade, just using LP and getting paid fees in the process. Super powerful concept. I don't think enough people have really been able to execute or interested in doing either. And again, like you said, if you know, you know, and you know, it's like getting on the other side, getting ahead. Part of that is figuring out, you know, where's your edge? What makes you be able to have that edge over other people? And right now, I feel like the people who understand LP have this huge edge over everyone else in every ecosystem. Our ecosystem in particular just does it really well.
Yeah, and I got to give a huge shout out to Sloth, Crypto Sloth. He's one of those guys that's out there educating for free on YouTube, and he did a video today called maximum extractable value. And I really liked that video because it's going to give you a framing for, and we'll be talking about that in the private session here in about 20 minutes over on accessalive.com. But the idea of that is, you know, I see a coin here. It's called PAVE. It's the Aave fork. I can click on holders and I can see that there's 162,000 of them. But to be in the top 50 holders, you only need 42,000 Aave. And so the game then becomes, at these prices, can I get in the top 50 or top 100 and create a market? That's the game that we're all playing. While because you guys, after the 100x, you can't play these. You're priced out of all the shark bags on everything because all this stuff's going to moon. Like if you haven't figured this out yet, because of the bonded liquidity of PulseX, all this stuff is going to moon. And that's why you're seeing these P copies starting to pop off. And like, even though this Aave chart's down 50%, I mean, it literally went up 10x in 9 days. And now it's coming back down 50%. And the reason is because there's only $27,000 of liquidity now. And so then you have to, like, we could factor for what, you know, how much can we, how much of a range can we create here? So I'm going to show you that because I think it's a valuable skill when you're when you're framing up this like maximum extractable value. You can also think of it PAVE. You can also think of it in terms of opportunity for to market make. And so like, yeah, this is trading inside of a 2.8x range. But because there's only like $27,000 of liquidity in here, and this is like only the main pair, because a lot of these P copies are unpopular and not paired with a lot of stuff. If you wanted to get like 44,000 of these and get in the top 50, it's expensive. It's $22,000, but it's not, you know, HEX where it's $800,000 for a shark position. You know what I mean? And so if all these other coins are going to go up and increase in value and go up to parity with their Ethereum counterparts, or are just going to increase in value to any degree, you can get more HEX, PulseX, and Ink, the stuff that you love, by leveraging these really cheap P copy alternatives. You know, so, you know, this $22,000 bag today, you know, this was $44,000 a day and 6 hours ago. So do you see the power of time in price here, where like your time on to get into these types of things like is limited insofar as once these guys that want to nuke their positions out are out, then it's clear skies. And what you can say that you can prove that because it did it here, and there was a lot of time here where there was accumulation that occurred. Well, these guys here exiting are just getting rid of their bags that they accumulated. But to push the price down even farther and eat all that slippage, you're going to lose a lot more of your units faster. And so then for the guy to come in with a $22,000 market buy, now we have to go figure out, well, what does that mean for the amount of coins I can get to get that shark position? So I'll throw in here Aave quick. Because remember, the maximum extractable value is very limited by the $27,000 that's in the pool, because this is pretty much the only pool. So if I put in, I don't know, what is it, 100 million to get. So I think you're going to need, like, to get a shark position in this, you probably need like 30 grand or something. Wow. So yeah, this one's really hard to get a shark position in, which is why this thing's going to go up in value. Like you can't get it. And you basically have to create this type of situation where you buy some, and it's not just you, by the way, it's the whole market. They buy some, it gets sold off, and these pools fill back up. You buy that bit that got put in the pools, and then more of it comes on the market. Then you buy that bit that gets put back in the pools, and then a little bit more comes on the market. Now confidence is building. People don't want to sell so much anymore. The initial sell down to retest, and then the same thing. And then you just keep building structure to the upside because there's just a limited amount of coins. So this is Aave, and there's like I forget how many coins there are. 16 million, so very limited amount. You can check the holder counts. Like there's only 20% in this one wallet, which is probably one of the vaults or a contract or something. Probably the one that Richard's over collateralizing or something. I don't know. But then like Gnosis was another one that is even a better screaming opportunity about accumulation ranges and you know the way whales are going to play these games. I'm trying to teach you guys like the way that a market maker is thinking to accumulate these things up while they're still super cheap. Like these are free. They're basically free. If you're a whale with like, you know, 10, 20, 30 million dollars of crypto, of RH crypto, you can absorb like half of a market supply of one of these coins and make a market and make everyone else play it at a higher price. But yeah, this Gnosis coin only has 10 million. You know, so what is that? Shoot.
I like to pronounce it no supply, I guess in this case.
Here's an even easier one to move the price around. So you get $6,000 moves the price more than 16%, and that 7,000. I don't even know. Like this was a lot different a couple of days ago when the price was lower. But you know, 10,000 only goes into 10 million a few times before, like, you know, 10 or 20 people that are big can accumulate a lot of the supply, is my point. And so I think what you're going to see is like there's going to be a bank run on a lot of these P copies, because that's the narrative that's floating around right now. And you know, don't throw your whole bag in it, of course.
Before we get into the TA corner too, because I'm sure people want to hear about. I see some people talking about GIF and also the solid index. But before we get into that, just for people who, because I know did you want to talk about this, the SAC wallet or moves or otherwise, or like in the last year or two, and maybe that's a good thing to catch people up on just for a minute. In the last year, what has been the big events, and like what has led us to where we are now? Like there's been a few things happening as you see. There's been, you know, the SAC wallet buying. There's been you know, the green candles we got in January, all that stuff. How do we end up here?
So I think like the first activity started perhaps down here. You know, who'd know this information a lot better would be Buck and Dylan. But there was for sure activity in here, and it was pretty clear because this thing was just every day it was going up a little bit each day, which is like real good bullish accumulation. Like if you start seeing that kind of activity again, that's a tell for sure that a big player is accumulating a bunch of coins. And so then those were the two main things: was this triple bottom, this pump off these lows, this double bottom, and then this accumulation. And then here on January 6th, you know, RH says like, I'm gonna come fight for your rights, and then the whole market got super bullish on that idea. And I think I don't think this whole move was all him or the SAC wallets. I think this was the market as well following through. And then some of the biggest sacrificers decided to nuke the price up here. But you know, things just chugged along, and then we were in Vegas, and this was March 8th, and we got that big pump on PulseX, and that got sold down pretty hard. That PulseX pump, I think, got it to near SAC rate, I think. And so then, I mean, that was enough for some people to just get out. They just wanted to get out. And so this has just been a capitulation of people that are, like, again, wanted to get off the bus. There haven't seen too much activity since. There was a little bit of buying that happened here, test buys and stuff. And, you know, the SAC wallets were wise not to just like pump money back in and to let this thing retrace. It's better for the longer term health of the chart. This is all still structurally sound up and to the right. On the log chart, on the linear chart, it doesn't look as good. It looks pretty flat. But this is what a TA guy wants to see, is they want to see this flat price action with higher lows and higher highs to build up for like a bigger move. You know, potentially like up here to the top of this channel. You know, these happen quick. You could see the same type of channel on PulseX pulse ratio, where it spent, you know, a long time down here, and then it got above. And so then, like, you know, what happens next for this one is you expand, and like you can go up into these levels now, and you break into a whole new territory, create a new channel up here. And so Pulse could get to the top of its channel as well, if you're using that as a comparison. You know, you can get up into these levels up here and flip this previous resistance as a support somewhere out here.
Is the upside, you know, when you're looking at the chart and otherwise, and trying to forget all the fundamentals you know about the ecosystem for a moment, does it feel like the upside asymmetric risk here too is way better than the downside? I think that's what maybe some people are kind of thinking about that too. Like, hey, is this thing going to go lower? Is it going to stay there for longer? You know, what is the chances that's going to happen versus, yeah, we go into a new channel, like we go up and, you know, start making higher lows and stuff.
Well, I mean, just technically here on the daily, you got a bullish cross here on the MACD. You got deep green bars. I mean, so technically this is all good for upside continuation. RSI, double bottom, higher low on the bottom here, and up on a positive slope. It recovered the 30 level. So that's good. And then volatility is starting to increase a little bit from being really low. And a big break of this pennant in either direction should increase volatility. So volatility is just kind of like getting ping-ponged around, like in squeezing or coiling up before a big break of volatility. And then that's usually where you get, you know, like big candles that surprise people. Like, you know, you wake up one day and you get this kind of a candle. Like, this would shock everybody. If you just woke up one day and you had something like this, like, and the volatility was through the roof. I mean, like, not saying this is going to happen, just that this is like the reality of how this stuff sometimes works. Like, Axis has done this before, where you wake up one day and it did a $45,000 candle in an hour. You know, 10x. So I mean, it does happen, and it happens on PulseChain. You know, there's no reason why that Pulse chart can't see big moves. It's still, you know, only a $34 million liquidity pool. So $17 million in DAI, you double it again, you double it again. Pretty soon, if you put $100 million into this asset, yeah, I mean, it can send the price up like 8x. So that's kind of like where we're at, is we need about $100 million to flow in to get an 8 to 10x out of this puppy. And but you know, these things take time, and so yeah, we're looking for like a slow grind higher, but we're getting all the technical indicators to say that hey, we're at least going to see some sort of a break soon. We got the bullish cross on the MACD, RSI is on a positive slope. It's going to come up here and test. It's going to come up here and test this resistance line. Hopefully, it'll probably get rejected right away and then come through and break and go. And then this same for the volatility. Hopefully, we'll get a nice spike out when it does that. And then yeah, and then you know, technically the ecosystem looks good. You know, not ignoring fundamentals. You know. So you know,
there's so much there. I mean, there's so much. Again, if anyone's been watching the channel or watching you for a long time too, I feel like both of us, along with everyone who's been around actually talking about it for a long time, we've covered everything, right? Like is there any? I feel like there's so many different verticals to like say, wow, this thing is super bullish. Wow, this thing is super good. Hey, we have this thing. This thing's getting built. You know, we got a founder, a line for glory, like all this stuff. It's just the information is there. I just want to tell people that too. If the first time you're watching this, or you're kind of confused, or you're just like not sure or whatever, the information is out there. Like we can tell you the picture, show our perspective and stuff like that. It's up to you to make the decisions and see what you want to do, what kind of risk tolerance you have or otherwise. But there's a reason we're up here talking about this, creating content, you know, drawing squiggly lines on the chart and stuff too. I mean, again, we all believe there's something there, and we've seen it before. We hope to see something even greater at scale in a bigger ecosystem too, like we have now with PulseChain. So it would be fair to say you're bullish on PulseChain Access Live.
No, for sure. And Brennan's right. If you're an RHMax, you're going to make it. And the reason is because the dude's got a proven track record, you know, and he was prepared for every single possible scenario before he launched HEX, like legally and financially. He was so proud of talking about, you know, calling the top on the day. And if you call the top on the day and you're saying it with conviction, you likely sold the top on the day. You know, no evidence, you know, I don't have any evidence to prove that, but so the dude's super well funded, you know, OG Bitcoiner with good principles that probably did hold for a decade or more, that, you know, can fund his own ecosystem. You know, he said you can catch him. I know you go back and watch RH videos, you know, he's came back and said multiple times that he doesn't need anybody, that he's got enough money to make it happen. You know, it's more about it's more about the humans getting on board and believing in it. You know, believing in the shared fiction of this particular money system and PulseChain. And you know, this kind of piggybacks off what I've been saying lately is that, you know, and you can buy tickers, but you need to invest in founders. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think the price performance of things over the long term really backs up that statement, that if you buy something with a rock solid founder, it's got a better chance of succeeding over the long run. And so, you know, if you need to distinguish for yourself whether you're buying a ticker or you're investing in a founder. RH
is a special guy in a very special time in history for sure. And like, if you look at, you know, the founders of, you know, L1s or otherwise, I mean, you got 1000 IQ Alien, Metallic, as our friend Tommy likes to say. And you got, you know, Charles Hodgkin for Cardano, and Justin Sun, and you got all these different founders, Satoshi and all this stuff too. As far as like, yeah, the bigger networks, I mean, you know, of course we got all kinds of founders in their ecosystem as well. But the guys who have a mission and really want to, you know, play healthy games and create value and not just extract it, and do it over long periods of time and have track records, as you said, to do it too. I mean, RH is it's hard to beat that guy. It really is. Mm-hmm. So
then in regards to GIF, I know we got just a couple more minutes. Look, the GIF chart, it's almost impossible to chart this one. So the reason is because the people that hold it can put the price wherever they want. And that's just the straight up truth. They can put this price wherever they want. They can support it with as much liquidity as they want. Yeah, so you can't fade it because it could literally just go vertical. You know, as long as they're backed financially, they can put this chart wherever they want. And it looks like there's a definite effort to put it wherever they want. And so anyone that comes in and makes a red candle, all you got to do is go plug their address into the deck screener filter and go run them through DBank and look at their portfolio, their bags or their transactions logs, and find out how much coins they have left. This is one of those coins where once they're out of coins, they're out of power. This same exact stealth launch strategy worked for Axis, and Axis went to the moon. So there's no reason why this one won't either. And I mean, they're building utility on it too, so it just gives it more unpredictably bullish variables. So the unfortunate thing is, like, there's no TA that can be done on this chart. It's going to continue to perform well, unless like somebody that's on the inside like decides like, you know what, screw those guys. So as long as that doesn't happen, I don't see why this wouldn't continue to just go, 100x from here. It's so easy to do when you get people that are in alignment.
When we first talked about it a couple weeks ago too, it was like maybe I want to say 25K liquidity, something like that. Not much on the Pulse side. Now, if you look at it, there's multiple pools, and this is just GIF. There's GIF, PGIF. There's iBurn now for the ICOSA burning protocol, one that also burns PGIF, all that stuff. But there's a ton more liquidity now, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and a lot in the Pulse side too. And I think back then it was kind of like, okay, it's one of the low liquidity, the sloth stream, stream. Actually, I just finished clipping before our conversation. You talked about it. I didn't get a chance to say it, but I was like, that's an excellent stream to talk about the maximal extractable value. And another reason why I feel like every time I look at this chart, it's like you can see the market sells, you can see the red candles. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like to me, I always think, okay, is that people who got in? Maybe they don't have a lot of supply, but they already got a lot of X's and they want to exit, because I imagine a lot of people, again, we talked about using LP to accumulate. This chart, you said it's hard to chart with TA. Not a lot of red candles. If you look at the daily, there's like one in the last few weeks or something. That's daily for GIF. Mm-hmm. Or maybe, can you chart in WPLS? Against Pulse, it's up like 600X or something right now. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe, yeah, I guess at a high level view, I said one day, but maybe it's not quite accurate. But anyways.
It's also got very low holder count, and I've been watching it, and it's not changing. So that means that the same guys are just driving the price up because you're not increasing in holders. So,
but somebody's putting the Pulse in, right? Like there's got to be more people putting Pulse in for it to grow. So the LPs grow. How does the LP grow?
I mean, somebody can just add LP, like an insider can add LP, so to speak. That's not abnormal. Like if it's you can add LP and remove LP whenever. So I mean, this is kind of the magic of LP is you can. If one guy, let's just say, just to simplify the example, if one guy put all the Pulse and all the GIF on the market, he can basically buy his GIF from himself, and then he gets the Pulse back, and then he uses that Pulse to buy the GIF from himself, and then he gets the Pulse back again and again and again. And the only thing that can stop that cycle is a new player entering the game and buying some of that supply, which will push the price chart up even more, and then setting LP, and then he starts earning a cut of the recycled funds. Make sense?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not saying that's what's necessarily happening here. I'm just saying that if the holder count's not changing, then whoever's buying the price up obviously is already in, right?
You sure the holder count's not changing? I think it's. I mean, I haven't keeping close track of it.
It was at like 777 a couple days ago, so it's up by like 10, maybe less than 10.
I feel like a few weeks ago it was only over 100 or so.
It was at like 400. It was at like 400 maybe
when we were on stream, maybe.
Yeah, it was at like 400. I mean, since then, yes, it has gone up. I'm talking over the last maybe like 4 to 5 days. It's not changing. So this is going up right now on, and you can tell because look at the volume. 4.8 billion in volume, 2.7 billion in volume, But back in this entire segment here, it was so from the beginning until here, 4.6 billion, and then just today, it's the same amount of volume as this entire period here. So it's clearly motivated pushing price up, which is good. Like you want to reward your holders with price appreciation. And because most of your holders are probably either holding for the long term or can't sell enough to push the price down, it's like, this is why I can't chart it, is because this thing is literally going to go like it could go as high as you could imagine. That's the beauty of creating your own token.
Well, I mean, I think with this one too, it's interesting because there's the buy and burn mechanic, the whole burning of, there's like 1 billion supply total between GIF and PGIF, because every time you mint PGIF, burns a GIF, and then it buys and burns a PGIF off the market, kind of like one of those, you always have a buyer type of thing as the system moves. So I think that's interesting from burning. So it's like, why would you buy a GIF? It's like, well, if you mint the PGIF, then it burns a GIF. And then it's like there's this whole like feedback loop of like buying and burning. I think is really interesting too. And this is, I've never seen a chart like this. I mean, as far as like with this mechanic, I'm not even sure how much the buy and burn is reflected in this chart. I'm not even sure like what cadence it's running and stuff too.
Is there stats on that? Like, is there a stat page that says?
There's not a community stat page for it, but if you look at the token counts, you can see it going to the data address. It gets removed from the supply number, I think, on PGIF. So you can track how much is burned and the total values. Yeah, if you want to pull it up, if you want to do, yeah, PGIF will show the total supply.
Oh, this is where I got the 441 from.
Okay. And then so the total supply is, I can't see it. Is it 67 million?
67 million.
Okay. And then if you pull up GIF, you can see it's actually sent to, like, I think, man, how much is sent to, I think 7 or 8% is burned. You can see it's sent to the data address. So if you go to holders, the first or second holder is probably gonna be first soon. Yeah. So that's 7.6% sent
76
to the
million out of a billion. So almost 10% will be burned.
Yeah. So
which is going to drive it up even more.
So there's the burn supply of GIF, and then there's the buy and burn for PGIF. And then they launched iBurn for ICOSA, which burns ICOSA. You can mint iBurn from ICOSA and Pulse. And it also has a 15% buy and burn for PGIF. So it looks like it's setting up like, and somebody mentioned, we were talking about ink earlier, and I was like, and also in the chat, I heard people talking about what if there's a burning for ink? What if they launch a new, apply this protocol to ink? Because it's kind of like the leverage on leverage thing. Like ICOSA is leverage on HEX, and iBurn could be like a leverage or proof of burning ICOSA type of thing. What if you did it for ink, and now you're burning ink, which is leverage on Pulse, and now you make ink deflationary, which is kind of what it's trying to do for ICOSA type of thing.
Yeah, I would love to see an ink buy and burn. The more ink we can take off the market, the happier I'll be.
I think that'll be a popular maybe request of people. I know there's
the trick here with developing that, if you guys are going to go do that, is make sure that the incentive is better than the 50% APR you're getting from the farms, or otherwise you'll have a dead protocol. Nobody's going to burn something of value that has earning potential unless the gain is higher than what can be earned in the farms without burning it. So definitely some mechanics that need to be thought out there.
Yeah, it's I guess the point in saying all that too was I think it looks like it all comes back to GIF. Like at the end of the day,
just asked if COM was a thing. Yeah, COM is over here just chilling.
I was going to pull it up. Yeah.
It's very low transactions, man. But it is stabilized here at this floor price. 6 zeros and a 1-3.
Oh, just one other thing on GIF for a second too. We'll come back to COM, but I just wanted to, I think Crypto Elite's got a good point here. You make profit on the ARB. So I think another big piece of this on GIF is arbing the difference between GIF and PGIF. You know, once if there's a difference in the PLS price you pay to make the PGIF, there's arb opportunity, and that kind of incentivizes people to, you know, buy one, sell the other, or mint more and sell it down, all that stuff, which creates, you know, volume and creates more burning and kind of keeps the protocol going. So like getting that, like everyone on board to arb, do all the arb opportunities, really makes you know, the wheel keeps spinning on it too. Anyways, I think that was part of the chart too. Is interesting if besides the buying and burning, the arbing, I think maybe that's reflected in the chart too. Could be. It's just funny you said you can't chart it. My first reaction is like, why does it make it different? I think
because you can't. I mean, this is just going straight up. There's no on this chart. There's no. Well, it'd be like, it's like look at this one. You can't chart this either.
Is that the Access Alive token?
That's right. You can't chart it because it's just it needed this massive move, this 26x in 2 days to finally change the game and and allow for a sell off. You know what I mean? To actually start to create chart structure. And so, I mean, so yeah, this one, you know, who knows where that is? You know, this is only at 691 pulse. Axis is at like 275 million pulse. So, I mean, it's still very early for this. And again, all that matters here is believers and diehard holders that want to see this thing moon. And, you know, I know who's behind it. They're going to send it, dude. You know, there's pride on the line here. Like they're going to, you know, you guys might as well just like throw a dart at the board and buy some of this because it's going to go crazy high. You know,
well,
just is what it is.
Jamie said, when perma Axis, apply permeable tokenomics to Axis token. I don't know if the world's ready for that. Are they Axis? I don't know. Can't be
stealing other people's stuff. If you know, I always said that there would never be an upgrade, so I'm sticking to it.
Well, sir, DeFi though, DeFi. What if someone made a token that burned Access Alive token?
Well, see, it's a big world out there, and people are always building. So,
wow.
You know, I've hinted at things in the past, but I've never, you know, we're not there yet. So,
partnership with Access Alive and permeable tokenomics equals a burn. No, it's got a better name than a burn. Perma-Axis, maybe Perma-Axis. That's not
the bad. Axe.
The axe.
It's chopping heads off, burning Axis coins.
No more Axis, but in a good way of like it's getting burned, reducing supply.
All right, man, brother. I ran over, but it's all good. I appreciate it. Happy 1 year, by the way.
Happy 1 year. PulseChain.com, everyone.
Oh yeah, I'll be on the. Forgot to tell you, we'll be on the. Are you on with Maddie tonight? I think you were, right?
I am. I'm on at 8:00 Eastern with Crypto Girl, Cabana. Man, who am I forgetting? There's someone else there. Not you, unfortunately, but someone else. Yeah,
I was added on.
Oh, you're right after. That's right. You're Access Live.
A little hard. Hey, by the way, there's going to be a cool example in there. You might want to watch that. That I wanted to show it here, but yeah, we got to save it for later. It's one of those situations where a coin went up against Pulse like crazy at the same time as it got decimated against another coin. So I can't wait to show that. Hart's Law in both directions.
That's interesting. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm gonna do the stream and then definitely catch yours, and excited to see you there tonight. And man, it's been a great 1 year. I know a lot of people are like, down and didn't go 100x and I don't know. I kind of wish, part of me, again, the RH thesis, you don't need to trade, just buy X and stake it. I want that to come back in full force of like, again, everyone who wants to trade it and do that and LP and like all these other ways to make money. I think that's, you know, everyone's got the thing, and I think LP is becoming a lot more popular, and that's probably healthy for a thriving ecosystem too. But I like the idea of just holding something, getting more yield, price go up. You know, what happened with HEX. I hope we're able to repeat that again. And I hope that brings people back in and not feeling like they just, you know, wasted their time or otherwise. Like, hey, I want everyone who buys HEX to be rewarded. And I hope we're able to achieve that with PulseChain.
Oh, dude, I'm still a huge believer of HEX. Always will be.
Yep. HEX.com, man. It's people saying it's the way. I've heard that phrase before. HEX is the way. Access, thanks again for your time, man. Accesslive.com. Where can people? Where's the best place to find you?
Yep. YouTube.com/accessalive and x.com/accessalive. Yeah, we'll be. I'm going to do a private session right now with the group, which will even go deeper, and then 9 o'clock Eastern, I'm on for 20 minutes on Hart's Law, and I'm going to show you guys some cool stuff there. And then at the end of the night, I'll be on for the group session for the final segment of the PulseChain conference. So thank you guys.
Final countdown. You're busy man today. Appreciate your time, dude. As always. Banger. I think we hit the banger. Did we hit the banger mark, chat? Real quick. We hit the banger. Was it a banger?
Ding, 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 ding.
I think they agree it's a banger. We don't have time to look. Appreciate it, chat. Everyone, that's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.